Cats are notoriously difficult to read, aren't they? Their behaviour can be so confusing. And as a behaviourist, something I'm asked over and over again is how to tell whether cats are fighting or playing, and whether they're friends or enemies. So if you're struggling with this too, then I don't blame you because it's really difficult to figure out. There's lots of overlap between the two. So today I'm going to tell you how to know for sure whether your cats are playing or fighting. You okay? So adorable. That was so cute. Thank you. So there are 3 different areas to consider when trying to figure out if your cats are playing or fighting. The first one is their body language, their behaviour, which I'll take you through in a minute. That's the biggest. Secondly are the vocalizations that you're hearing. And thirdly is their relationship as a whole. So let's start with the body language. So when you're watching your cats, here are a few things you will see in both playing and fighting, just to confuse things. So their ears will normally go back and their tails will normally be thrashing. So even if it's just play, even if they're having the best time, you'll probably notice they do want their ears held out the way and the tail's just going wild because they're jumping around, they're playing, they're wrestling. So don't assume that just because their tail's thrashing that it automatically means that they're fighting. However, you will see that when they're fighting as well. Also, in both play and fighting, you will notice the same sort of behaviour. So lots of wrestling, you'll notice stalking, pouncing, leaping onto one another. They might bunny kick each other with their back paws. And even when they're playing, they're going to be like biting each other's faces. And it can look really painful, particularly when they're younger and they're really, really going for it. So we can watch our kittens or cats playing and think, oh my God, you must be hurting each other, and want to get in there and separate them, because this is the exact behaviour we will also see when they're fighting as well. But it's really important to know the difference between the two. So if your cats are doing this, we want it to be very even. We want to make sure that both cats are enjoying it just as much. So with like the pouncing and wrestling, what you should find if it's play is that they sort of take turns as to who stood up tall, who's jumping on the other one, who's rolled over on their back, and who's bunny kicking and doing all the biting. We hopefully will have an even split between the two. It can be a bit one-sided in that if you've got one super, super playful cat and one playful but not so playful, you might notice it being a little one-sided, but we don't want that sort of relentless chasing where the other cat just cannot get away and one cat is constantly going to chase them, because that will very quickly, even if it starts as play, that will very quickly change to I'm not playing anymore because I'm done, but the other cat might not stop. So look to see if it's quite equal, whether they are taking turns, and whether if it has got a bit out of hand, then the cat that's sort of a bit shy or wants to withdraw from the play, whether they come back and say, actually, I want to play again, because that's normally a good sign that it's actually play and it's not a serious fight. When they're playing, they're usually quite easy to distract as well. So you could try introducing some toys to see if you're able to get their attention, and that will give you an idea as to whether it's super serious or whether it's just play. They should take some breaks as well as they're playing. So they won't necessarily stop, but they might, in with their wrestling, they might just stop for a bit, they might have a little groom, they might just lay there for a few seconds and then carry on. Their body posture is also very loose and floppy as well. So especially when they're younger, you'll normally notice that the kittens or cats will be quite bouncy. They might rear up on their back paws, they might flip round, they might go side on, they might wriggle around a bit. And when they roll over, then it's quite floppy and roly-poly. And on the flip side, when they're fighting, the body language is very, very tense. So you'll notice that when they swipe each other, the swipes are that much faster and that much harder. And when they jump on each other, it's not like a spring up and a flop over, it's a very intense pounce onto the other cat, because they mean business. You'll probably notice signs of stress as well from one or both cats. So these are very subtle to pick up on, but things like nose licking and swallowing, that's a very good indication that the cat is not comfortable anymore. And it's really easy to miss, but when you know to look for it, you think, oh yeah, there it is. And that's a good indication that they're not quite comfortable. Also, you might notice the fur standing on end, so they might have bottle brush tail or the fur up along their back. And again, that sign shows that they're stressed, they're not okay, they're not happy in this situation. I hope it's obvious, but there shouldn't be any injuries when they're playing. So the claws should always be kept in with play. And even if they are biting each other and bunny kicking each other in the tummy, they shouldn't leave any injuries or wounds behind. Likewise, they shouldn't be opening their bowels or bladder during fighting. If you have this at any point between your cats, then that's a serious issue and the fight is very severe. So that's a big indication that we've moved way past play. And the second thing to think about is the vocalizing. So for the most part, playful cats should be quiet. Like in the beginning, there might be the odd noise where one cat's gone too far and they're still sort of learning their boundaries and learning how hard to bite and all that stuff. So the odd yelp here or there is not an issue. But generally, day to day, especially when they're older, playful play sessions should be quiet. You might hear the odd hiss, and I'd say that that's not anything to really worry about because that's a way of one cat telling the other one that they've had enough. So as long as the other cat actually pays attention and is like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll stop now, then that's good. That's good communication. They've played together. One cat said, I've had enough now. And then the first cat is like, oh, okay, we'll stop. So that's fine. The problem might come when one cat's hissing to say they've had enough, but the other cat doesn't stop. So they're relentlessly still trying to play. And you might notice that then it does quickly change from play into fighting. You'll notice much more hissing, and then you might notice different vocalizing. So any sort of long drawn out vocalization, so a growl or a yowl, I would say is definitely fighting. I would be worried if your cats are doing that at home. So be aware. And particularly, it's not so bad if it's happening at an end of a play session, it means things have got out of hand. But if you're seeing it at the very beginning, before anything's even happening, then that is a bit of a warning sign for me, at least. So what you'll sometimes find is before the fight has even begun, there'll be a standoff. So both cats will be there, they'll be staring at each other, and there'll be long vocalizing. So I don't want to do it because I don't want to scare your cats at home, but I'm sure you know what I mean. Just like a long drawn out yowly noise, not like the cute little meows that they do to you and me. So in this situation, this is where things get very tense, and lots of cats find it difficult to get out of this situation because often it's movement that triggers a chase. So both cats are thinking, well, I don't want to like run off because I'm definitely going to be chased, but I don't, so I can't move. How else am I going to get out of this situation? So here you'll see cats that move in really slow motion away from each other or away from one. And this is definitely a sign that there's no play going on here. It's definitely tense and it's a serious fight. For the most part, I'm hoping you don't see this at home because generally this tends to happen between cats outside the home. So like if you're like me and you're at the window at night because you can hear cats fighting, you might see this behaviour there, but it is quite rare to see it in your home. So if you do have this problem where you're having proper standoffs, lots of like noisy, yowly vocalising, then I'd be very aware that your cats are definitely not friends. And let's try and figure out why that's the case and help them get back on track. But generally in households, it tends to be much more low-level aggression. So you might not notice so much vocalising if it's happening every day. So I would just be mindful of that thing of whether it's one-sided or not. So if it's constantly every day, one cat is getting chased by the other one, it's probably not play, at least not for both of them, and it's something to look at. So for an example here is when you bring in a kitten with an adult cat, or often the kitten will want to play loads and loads, so they don't want to be aggressive, they just want to play. But the adult doesn't want to do that play, or they might want like 10% of that play, but not so much as the kitten. So be mindful of whether both cats are in the mood to play, and just watch whether it is one-sided or whether, like I was saying, whether there's that turn taking and you are getting generally both cats instigating the play sessions. And lastly is to look at their relationship overall. So hopefully this play fighting will only be part of their relationship, and then you can look at their behaviour the rest of the time to figure out the overall feeling of how they're doing. So if you're noticing lots of nice behaviours like they're snuggling up together, they're having long snuggly grooming sessions, they're okay to be in the same room, there's no tension when they cross paths unexpectedly, and generally they get on really well, then I'd be reassured that these fighting sessions are probably just playful. But again, look at the body language. And likewise, if you're seeing behaviours that suggest they don't get along so well, then it could be that this fighting you're seeing is actually genuine fighting. So it might be that they don't really like being in the same room together and sort of side-eyeing each other when they're there. They might be pushing each other out of the beds because there's competition for those, or they might be swiping or hissing around the food bowl, that sort of thing. Then it could just be that you have a low level of tension bubbling along, and then these fights are happening day to day, which are genuine fights where they're trying to sort of figure out who's doing what in the territory. If you think your cats are fighting, then I'm really sorry because it's horrible, isn't it? And we can't help but worry about them. So this video might help you get on top of their behaviour. And if your cats are playing, then sit back and enjoy. And I hope this video has been reassuring and hopefully will stop you from worrying about whether or not they're fighting or not. Let me know in the comments what your cats are doing at home, what behaviour you're seeing. Fig and Sparks have always played so nicely together and it's always been so lovely to see. So I hope that's the same for you guys at home. I will see you next time for another video. Take care. Bye. Oh, Fig, you're so cute. Thanks for your company. Thanks for your company. Oh, you.